Man Cave Class and Ward. Today we're going to start talking about westward expansion. And we're going to start that off by just looking at a document. So we'll give this a read. We'll break it down for you. We'll talk about some important things that we see, important dates maybe, and even some names. So
before we go,
one
thing I like to do with my kids before we even look at the document itself, we source it. When was it written? Who was it written by? Who's speaking? Whatever it might be. So we're just looking here. It's December 5th, 20 days before Christmas. It's 1848. Now, for some of you, the year 1848 might jump out of your mind.
Hopefully,
a year before 1849. And the person speaking here is the President of the United States, James K. Polk. So we talk about if a source, in this case the President of the United States, is going to be reliable.
Right.
I would say that the President is going to be a fairly reliable source of information. It's not like, hey, this was some guy on the street of New York City telling me these things. This is the President of the United States.
And let's talk about audience, since you're bringing up source.
Yep.
This is his message to Congress.
The State of the Union address.
Yep, pretty much. Okay, so December 5th, 1848, President James K. Polk's annual message to Congress. It was known that mines of the precious metals existed to a considerable extent in California at the time of its acquisition. Recent discoveries render it probable that these mines are more extensive and valuable than was anticipated. The accounts of the abundance of gold in that territory are of such extraordinary character as would scarcely command belief were they not corroborated by the authentic reports of officers in the public service who have visited the mineral district and derived the facts which they detail from personal observation. Reluctant to credit the reports in general circulation as to the quantity of gold, the officer commanding our forces in California visited the mineral district in July, last for the purposes of obtaining accurate information on the subject. His report to the War Department of the result of his examination and the facts obtained on the spot is herewith laid before Congress. When he visited the country, there were about 4,000 persons engaged in collecting gold. There is very reason to believe that the number of persons so employed has since been augmented. The explorations already made warrant the belief that the supply is very large and that gold is found at various places in an extensive district of country. Oh boy.
Yeah, if I'm reading this the next day in the New York Times and I'm sitting down for my morning coffee, my ears just perked up.
I'm probably packing a bag.
The hairs on the back of my head started to stand up because I hear him mentioning quite a few times this precious metal gold.
He does mention it.
And I mean, the things I want to point out really in the beginning, he's talking about the recent acquisition. Putting things into historical context here. We're talking about the Mexican-American War. Very, very easy victory for the Americans in this war where we obtained what was known as the Mexican Cession. Basically, the states of California, New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, Utah, that was basically, that Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo is signed in February of 48. This is now 11 months later, and we're talking about the discovery of gold.
Now, here's the thing, and the date that we were double checking that they found gold out there was what, September?
January of 48.
January of 48. So now the thing is that why not, that would be a question. Why do you wait this long to say, hey, there's gold out there? And I don't know if you picked up on some things because...
I picked up on words that I like to use in my classroom a lot.
Absolutely.
Corroborated
yes.
and authentic.
Yes.
So it's January of 48 when gold is officially discovered. And it's 12 months later,
right,
before the President of the United States has corroborated, which corroboration means you find multiple sources that say basically the same exact thing.
And you're trying to authenticate it.
And you have authenticated reports, meaning it is real, it is genuine, this gold does exist. And I kind of want to point out another thing here, which is really, really important when we move further into westward expansion, that it's been 12 months, essentially, since gold was discovered. And the president is pointing out that there are already 4,000 people engaged in collecting gold out in California.
Yep.
Now, those 4,000 people are extremely lucky.
Right.
Because they've not only got a 12-month head start on getting the gold out of the ground, it's really going to be more like a 2-year head start before the actual 49ers, the gold seekers that move out there, get out to the gold territory.
And then there's a couple of things going through my head as you're saying that, right? Because they have this head start. They've been out there for a while. And let's talk about employ. We might be getting ahead of ourselves, but now we're going to have people actually working out there, which really gives us like an opportunity to kind of, I guess, introduce the idea that you're going to have people working out there. So if you're looking at cheap sources of labor, what you are going to see out there being employed working on these sites are immigrants, of course. Anything else we're missing here? I mean, I like the fact that he's saying corroborated or authentic, because let's put it this way. You and I, as soon as we read this, we're like, okay, let's pack a bag, let's go.
Yep.
Had he just put out a statement that went, there's gold out in California.
Somebody said, or my cousin's neighbor's roommate once said there might be gold out there. No, there's gold. Right. And we now know that there is gold. It is authenticated. It is a reliable source. We're going to go. I like to bring up in my classroom, it's like if Dr. Levy, who's our principal, gets on the PA system and says there was just a helicopter dropped $1 million worth of gold on the football field.
Ooh.
Is there anything you and I are going to do, like to keep the students in class?
Wait.
Yeah, no.
Keep your seats.
I joke around. I said, I'm going to throw the students out of the way to try to get out there first.
Yeah, you just lock the door. That's it. But I think something else I was thinking as well is that, if you just put out that whole statement, because the fact that we're on the East Coast here in New York, and Mr. Kogan and I are looking at this and going, okay, hey, we're going to pack a bag and go. There were things in there that made us say, okay, there's gold there. He had people authenticated. He had people go and make observations, another word that kind of came out there, and report back to him. So if I'm going to pack a bag and go, I'm pretty confident that everything here is dead on true. Rather, if the president just went, there's this gold out in California, going, I don't know, have a ball. Anything else we need to add with this document before we get into some more things? Recent discoveries, just making sure we got it.
Yeah.
Abundance means that, hey, there's going to be a lot out there.
Great deal. Yeah.
Absolutely. Corroborated, so he's checking his sources, he's making sure.
The supply of gold is very large.
Right, very large.
And found in various places. So it's, you've got this belief, this American dream now that I'm going to go out west, I'm going to seek my fortune, a little bit of hard work, I'm going to make millions of dollars in a very, very, very short period of time.
So when we look at this, people are going to go out there for gold, but let's start to talk about why gold. I mean, I know everybody knows, by the time you get to this class in middle school, why gold. You know that it has value, you know that it looks pretty. So there are a couple of things. Now, the thing is that, if we look at something very, very simple, if we're looking at, I don't know, $1, right? This is worth $1. Where? In the United States. Is it worth $1 in other countries? Probably. There's an exchange that takes place. The dollar might be worth a little bit less in other countries, but that's neither here nor there. Now, if you look at something, for example, now like gold, okay, well, does something like this have value? Yes. Where does it have value? Everywhere. When you look at certain countries when you're looking at countries around the world and you're looking at people, everybody has a value on that. When it comes to the dollar itself, the value of it may be higher, may be lower, depending on you go. And the same would go for silver. All right, gold and silver, of course, are going to have value in pretty much every country. So that's why, when you take this out of the ground, this is going to have value.
And what a lot of students don't even realize about our American money,
right?
Our pennies, our quarters, our dollars, our $5, all those really are like IOU notes.
Yes.
It's like the government is saying that somewhere they have $1 worth of gold,
right,
to back up the value of that dollar bill. Fort Knox, the Federal Reserve banks throughout the various states, there are trillions of dollars worth of gold that the government keeps in gigantic vaults to back up the value of our money.
And then even when we look at money today, I mean, because when you and I were growing up, we used to have to actually have money to make purchases.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the purchases that people make today, especially during a pandemic, are through a credit card, really.
Or now even your phone, like Apple Pay.
Yeah, absolutely. So
crazy.
a lot of what you have or possess in terms of currency, it exists on paper.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't hold it a lot. Now, the thing with gold is that, in recent years, because this document is going to be part of a gold rush that we're going to be talking about throughout this unit in the 1840s. But if I'm looking at TV, commercials or programs, is there a gold rush today?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a Mets fan, so I watch a lot of SNY, and there's Keith Hernandez's. He's like, I know a lot about gold, because he has got like 11 gold gloves at first base.
Yes.
And he's like, he does these commercials for the We Buy Gold.
Absolutely.
Go up and down Deer Park Avenue, where we teach. You see these signs everywhere.
Pawn shops,
My
yeah.
barber
Yes.
has a We Buy Gold sign. Yeah, I don't mean my barber, the barber I bring my kids to.
So even when you're looking at it, and Mr. Kogan brought up before, the whole like American Dream thing, I'm sure you may have seen some of these programs. I mean, I think on Friday night, you pretty much have all of these programs on there. You have Gold Rush, you have Bering Sea Gold. This was a one-season wonder. If you're really looking for bad TV, give this a shot. I got it really heavily involved in that one. And then you have Yukon Gold.
You see, like, they spend months and they get like a Coke bottle full of gold,
Right.
and it's worth like $400,000.
Now, before I got bored with it, I was pretty emotionally invested in the first 4 seasons, and a lot of them brought up the whole American Dream.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at people who are going to drop everything they're doing to go and look for gold, there's an economic explanation to that, or a financial one as well, because a lot of these people's in these shows, the one common denominator that you see is that they're not doing well financially. They need to find gold. This is going to be, they're waking up every day unemployed without money, and they need to find money. Now, that same mindset, when you're talking about the common denominator in the 2000s, and you're looking at, the 1840s, who's going to drop everything and go out west to kind of look for gold? People who probably need a shot. They're not doing well out east. If you're a single guy, yeah, that's easy. Drop everything you're going and go out there. If you're a family guy and maybe, I don't know, things are not going well for you as a farmer, you can't find a job, that's a bigger decision, but there are going to be certain things that you see when it comes to going and looking for gold. There's a lot of risk, there's a lot of chance. Of course, there's a big reward at the end of the day if you find it, but one of the things that will come up quite often when you're looking at looking for gold is that it's nature's great lottery scheme, pretty much.
Yeah.
You can go out there, you can look for it, but you gotta find
Even today, I remember 1984. My family took a trip to California.
Right.
San Francisco, in the mountains outside of San Francisco. We paid somebody to take us to a river, and we were panning for gold, and we found like little flakes of gold dust.
Right.
My parents still have it in their.
I mean, it's great. I mean, would I want to go out there and work doing this for like a week? Yeah, absolutely. Just to say I did it, to kind of check that box on my bucket list. Would I want to be in a situation that these guys are in where they have to look for it day in and day out? No. So there is that part, because people go, oh yeah, I would do it, or I wouldn't do it, or you don't want to be in that. We need to nail anything else with this? I think we killed it like we usually do. All right, well, thank you for watching. There are more video clips that we have on our YouTube channel, but in between going to subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can follow us on Man Cave Classroom at Twitter. We're also on Instagram, where we put out lots of supporting documents that go along with this and other things that we find out there. And of course, as I said before, we do have a YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Take care.
Peace.